Hello and welcome to Metal Shaper Tom. So this is episode 3 of what I'm calling Project Prescott, and this is where I'm making an Austin 7 special, designing the body, making it completely bespoke to how I want it. So in the last episode, very simple, got the engine and gearbox into place, got the steering wheel at the height that I think I would like it. It's all working out okay at the moment. But now on to the more interesting stuff. So you see the large piece of cardboard behind me, and that is basically to mock my body design up with. So I'm going to put a picture of how I think the car is going to be on the screen now, and that is basically a real nice long boat-tailed 30s race car, Grand Prix car, designed very influenced by an Amilcar 6C. So that's how I picture the car to be in my head, and how I'm going to go about it and make it in proportion to the wheelbase and chassis that I've got is basically going to start with this bit of cardboard. I'm going to sit, mark my shoulder height and everything like that, and then I'm going to start drawing the body design on the cardboard. Once I'm happy with it, I will then create a wire, not buck, but a wire sort of frame at the moment, just to give me a 3D visual of what it's going to be like. Because it might look okay on paper, basically, is what I'm trying to say, but it might look absolutely terrible in sort of real life. So I'm going to tweak it as I go along, or I expect to tweak it as I go along. Once I'm then happy with it, I will then make a tubular frame, and that is what I will basically fix my body onto. So I'll go through all these processes, and it will lead to basically me making that bespoke body for this car, getting it all up together, and I think in probably 18 months time, I'd love to be driving it up Prescott Hill. So that is the goal, and this is episode 3 of Project Prescott. So now I've got that dating point there, and compare it to the drawing, I want my body to at least be around this height here. Because I've got to think, I want this to run in line with the top of the bonnet. So yeah, looking at about this height. So I'm just going to quick pencil mark. Again, all this can be changed. And in the drawing, I want a 2-foot tail from the back of the wheel. It's 3 foot from the back of the diff there, which brings it to here. This may be too big, but until I wireform it all out, I won't know if these proportions work. So basically, if I've got the center of my diff around here, and basically sort of arcing up, I want to come from this point here, and I know I want to shape it up, arcing over and peaking at the top. I'm going to work that line and just keep drawing it until I'm happy with the flow and the shape of it. And once I'm happy that it resembles the drawing, I will then sort of put that into pen to make it a bit more visual. So one feature I wanted coming off the back of the boat tail was a rear head pod. Really like the feature, and I've always wanted to incorporate it into a body design. So it's literally just only on my side as well, only on the driver's side. So it's literally just coming up to around that sort of height, and then just teardrop, and letting that shape just flow into the boat tail. So you've got two nice shapes flowing off one another, complementing each other, I should say, really. And then ending at that point, which then comes down to the side of the body, really low cut out one side, and then straight up into the front scuttle panel around the steering wheel. Using the laser line there, what I need to do is just mark top of the scuttle along that line there. It gives me an idea of, from the back panel there, I don't want to be any higher at the front. I want that shape as it's sort of arcing round to basically come down lower. So it's going to be too high by this point. So here is roughly going to say where my bulkhead is, and then between here and here, bonnet line. But I really want my bonnet line to be finishing down here, and I know I've got the carb and the air filter there, but I want that cutting through the bonnet, and then a bulge and an intake on top of the bonnet there. So I don't want it, like I said, I don't want it any higher than that. So when I come to mark the bonnet line and the bulkhead, I want to be coming down from this point, from the steering wheel basically, arcing down to the front. And I think it just looks nicer, I'm going to say, in my opinion, just going all the way through. There's too many cars out there that I think are just too slab-sided on the sides around here and on the bonnet shape. I want this to have shape, subtle shape all the way through it, so the bonnet's going to be wheeled up. You know, these aren't just going to be slab-sided panels here. They're going to have a nice bit of shape all the way through. Just makes the car look a bit fuller. Just to give you an idea of what it's going to be like. I reckon the seating position around there. Maybe a tad lower if I can get it. I reckon roughly that's where it should be. So I think this whole design will change ever so slightly once I start mocking up the wireframe and start bringing this 2D outline to life. I'm going to make a half a wire butt frame now, and once I'm happy with that half, I will then replicate it and do it on the other side, so it's exactly the same. But this is, I think, the right way to go about it for this project. A few things I am a little bit concerned of is whether the boat tail at the back is too long. I purposely want a longer boat tail than what's out there on most Austins. So I'm going for something different. Hopefully I can make that work and bring that into a nice, like right up close to the tyres there, probably like a 50mm gap or something like that, and generate enough shape through there, and then continue that curved shape all the way through to the bonnet. So I don't want a single flat-sided panel on the car. Everything will have a little bit of shape and a continuation of the curve running through along the top and along the sides. So again, I think this may change as the car develops. So depending on the slope and the curvature of the rear boat tail, allows me, well, will decipher basically how big of a head pod I can have and the positioning of it. So that will be a little bit tricky, I reckon. I've got a cutout on the driver's side, but on the passenger side, I think it is just going to come along the top. So you just enter from one side of the car. I'm making a Bugatti at the moment, and it's got that feature, and I really like it. So just going over to here. I will probably just bring up the front scuttle panel and go straight across to the other side, and then add this separate deflector, reverse curve deflector around the steering wheel. I really like that feature. I reckon bonnet will start around here, and that is pretty much it. I'm going to have a completely different nose cone on it. So I'm not going to have an Austin one. I'm going to bespoke, or make a completely different nose to the car. So really, apart from the wheels giving it away, and I don't think you're going to see much of the chassis, because I think the body, how I picture it, is going to be down here. So it's going to come under, and possibly an under tray as well. Apart from the wheels, I don't think you would know it was an Austin. So that's my plan. Not that I've got anything against it, I just want a completely bespoke car. So let me know your thoughts and opinions on it. It's not going to be to everyone's taste, and it will change ever so slightly, and I will run across problems, and what I've drawn here may not work, but I'm going to try my hardest to basically turn this 2D picture into a working car by next year. Okay, I'm going to quickly explain how I'm going to go about this frame. I've got a bit of wood running along the bottom, which is the start of my base, and something to actually mount the 8mm round bar that I've got. I'm going to fix these in certain places around there, like so, and then I'm going to work my way off up here. And it's just a starting point. I'll make a wooden frame that's going to follow the body line, which will be on the floor. These will be my uprights, and then I'll start shaping these and going in between. Hopefully this bends okay. I normally use 6mm, but the metal supplier that I used didn't have any in stock. So I bought 4 lengths of 8mm. It should be okay. It only cost me 20 quid for, I think about 28 meters in total. I'm only a 7-meter length. So yeah, very cheap. And again, the 6mm would have been even cheaper. So it's a great way of, if you actually want to mock a body line up or even make a buck, it's a very cheap way of doing it. Yeah, look alright with that.
Your hair?
Yeah.
It looks fine.
So I feel quite high up, isn't it?
No, you haven't got a lot of seat going on at the moment, but
No.
yeah. Because I suppose I'm about here in mine.
Okay, alright.
So yeah, I could wear that bar is on the back of my back. So yeah, this is going to be a lot nicer actually, especially with, yeah. And then what are you going to do screen wise on the front?
You know, maybe just like a Brooklands.
Just an arrow, but
Yeah.
yeah, even with what you've got there, looking at that line across there, yeah, I mean, it's often my screens here.
Oh really?
Yeah, this will be a lot nicer to drive in the on the roads. You're not going to get hammered quite so much.
Yeah. By the time you got a screen, yeah, your eye line's up here, so you are gonna, it should work okay then.
Yeah, it'd be much better.
Okay, so first mistake or problem that I've come to find when mocking this up, this bar here, as you can see already, is far too close. I'm going to need more clearance around there for my hand to go smoothly around the wheel. So I'm going to bring this back a couple of inches. Again, this is the scuttle that's going to be underneath this reverse curve section, this cover that goes around the wheel and then works its way down here. So this is set back underneath all of that. But yeah, as you can see, it's far too close. I'm just going to break these tacks, move it back to a position where I'm happy with, and then fill the bits in between. First of many problems. Okay, so mocking up this head pod, and I will just say, I know this can change and this won't be put on until one of the last processes of making the body, but just mocking it up, I can already see something that I hadn't anticipated for, and that's the area of the top deck here of the boat tail. In my head, I would have liked the head pod straight, but to have it kind of this length, which I think is actually, I've got the dog coming in. Hello. Right. It doesn't actually work. It's going to be coming over onto the radius here, and I don't really like that feature. But just mocking it up with a straight edge, if I bring it over at an angle and bring that line from there all the way down so it lines up with the point of the boat tail there, so it's at an angle and kind of goes with the flow of the car and adds more shape, I think that will be in keeping. So I'm going to mock it up like that to start with. As I said, don't have to go with this. I might get a couple of months into it and go, do you know what, don't like it, it's not going to work. So I'm just going to put it there for mock-up purposes, just basically give me an idea of what it could potentially look like. Okay, so I've been putting this bit off until now, so now I'm going to have to come up with an idea as such, and that's the bonnet. And typically, you all right? And typically on the Austins, the bonnets are quite small, and as this is going to be quite a long car, I just think that would look out of proportion. So if my head pod is nearly 28 inches long there, subject to change, I can't really have a feature like that that's long at the back and then a short stubby bonnet at the front, it's just not going to be very well balanced. So measuring from that point there to the end of the bonnet brings it here. So I think that will just balance the car out slightly better. I have got the grille, which is going to come forward probably 3 or 4 inches, but that's an extended feature and I think will work nicely. But bringing it here, I can't bring that bonnet all the way over here because it's going to interfere with the pedals and the bulkhead and everything like that. So I think as a first option, it may just be sort of like coming over sort of 2/3, being this sort of height, and then this here, from here down, well, from here would be a separate panel, and this would be part of the scuttle area here, and have a bulged panel for the accelerator pedal, and that here. Hopefully that makes sense. You kind of gauge. Okay, so that is as far as I think I'm going to take this video, because otherwise it becomes quite repetitive. Let me know what you think of the body design. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and you can't please everyone. But there are elements within this car that I've taken from various cars that I really like, and I've put them all together. I didn't know if it was going to turn out like the Homer Simpson car, and but I've got to say, I really like the proportions so far. I think it works really well. There will be things that change. I think I've got a bit too much shape in the back end here. Maybe this panel around here and how it cuts into the scuttle, and definitely the front grille I'd like to bring lower if possible. This isn't going to be a buck. This is just a visual aid to basically bring that 2D drawing to life. I'm going to make the other side so I can see the car in its full state, and then what I'm going to do is then start making the internal structure. Once I've made the internal structure, which is going to come off the back here, the scuttle panel there and the bulkhead, once I've got that, they are my key fixed points, and I will then be able to start making panels for the body. What I will probably do, and this may change, is make one side, get that to the shape that I really like, and I can experiment with that by adding shape and stuff like that, and getting everything right. Once I'm happy, I can then use those panels and make patterns and sweeps, and then make the other side so I've got a matching car. That is potentially how I may go about this, because I can't rely on this, because this is just all bent by hand. You know, it's not accurate. I can see flaws within this at the moment, but this isn't a buck. I've tried to say that from the beginning. Even though you can put the time and effort in and use this as a buck, I don't want to use this. I don't think it's accurate enough for me to use for the look that I'm after and the result that I want. But that's pretty much it for this episode. I want to thank Rory and Simon again for helping me in this video, for coming along and moving this project along. And I got some t-shirts coming in the next episode. They've been designed by my mate Ashley, so I'm really looking forward to them. Everything raised by that is going to go back into this build, and that is pretty much it. So yeah, I shall see you in the next episode. So thanks for watching. Ciao.